The Senate Finance Committee recently held a hearing to discuss the current trade challenges directed at critical supply chains. At the beginning of the hearing, Chairman Crapo and Ranking Member Wyden debated whether or not Trump's tariffs are working.
Today, again, the S&P climbed at 0.2% already and has now advanced into the green for the entire year. And the fact is that we're starting to see renewed interest in taking down trade barriers and opening up more access for trade. I hope we can build on it.
I won't belabor this, Mr. Chairman. I will just say that there were several articles this morning that described how we are in many times worse shape today than we were on day one of the Trump administration. I'd ask unanimous consent that I could put that set of articles in the record.
Leaders from the semiconductor, soybean, rare minerals, and medical devices industries were on hand to testify about their experiences with tariffs.
So we believe that any tariffs should be targeted to either specific product categories or countries of concern.
The tariff barrier, the current tariff barrier, is the biggest challenge we've faced in a long time relative to accessing all the component parts we need to finish these products and provide them to hospitals.
Senator Cantwell argued that Trump's tariffs are putting the U.S. supply chains into chaos. She questioned Kayla Ragland, president of the Soybean Association, on how tariffs are affecting U.S. farmers.
Mr. Ragland, if we proceed with where we are, we don't get these tariffs off, will we lose farmers in America? Will we lose actual farmers in America?
Yes, that is a very harsh reality. The farm economy is struggling. I mean, I'm a younger farmer. I know farmers that have went out of business. There's bankruptcies taking place. I know older farmers who are choosing to leave the industry because of the limited economic opportunity. They don't want to lose what they've worked their whole lives for.
After Cantwell's line of questioning, Senator Cornyn weighed in on the lack of trade agreements made during the Biden administration.
I don't remember a single free trade agreement negotiated during President Biden's term of office. As a matter of fact, our Democratic colleagues in the former administration were allergic to free trade negotiations. It was President Trump who negotiated the USMCA.
Another important industry being affected by tariffs are critical minerals. Senator Hassan asked Gracelin, Baskaran, an expert in the field, if the U.S. needs to prioritize its relationship with Canada.
Considering our long and close relationship with Canada, do you think the administration should prioritize critical mineral trade with Canada to strengthen our supply chains?
Thank you, Senator. Canada is going to be one of our strongest allies if we are to reduce reliance on China. And it goes back to Senator Cornyn's point on mineral processing. At the end of the day, we take our zinc here in the United States, we send it to Canada, they refine it, we get our germanium out of it, and we bring it back to manufacture here in the United States. It's such a vertically integrated. It goes to uranium. We want to be a global energy leader. We want to build our nuclear energy. It's a bipartisan goal. Canada's uranium reserves are 10 times bigger than ours. They don't enrich it.
Senator Lujan of New Mexico also weighed in and wanted to know if Trump's tariffs were harming the semiconductor industry.
Will President Trump's tariffs impact the importation of hardware needed to continue AI development and deployment?
I think it's too early to say, but it has the potential to increase costs for key inputs that are used in the process of making the chips that go into the AI stack. We estimate that about, first of all, the vast majority of the cost of a fab is the very sophisticated engineered equipment, and approximately 80% of that is imported.
So I'll ask the question again. Will these tariffs make it harder to get the hardware needed? I think I heard you just say that.
They have the potential to raise those costs. The 80% you just talked about,
that's the hardware.
You know, the landscape's not yet settled. We don't know what countries...
I'm sorry to interrupt there, but can you repeat what you said about the 80% of the hardware getting harder to import? Or can you talk about that?
Yeah, approximately 80% of the cost of a fab is the very sophisticated equipment that runs the fab.
And that's imported?
And about 2/3 of that, I believe, is imported. And so doing the math, depending on the tariff rate, there could be very substantial cost increases associated with that.
In addition, he asked about the effects on the medical devices industry.
President Trump recently said that due to his tariffs, American children don't need to have more dolls and they don't need to have more pencils. Now, my question to you is, are pharmaceuticals and medical devices different than dolls or pencils?
So they're obviously different. The disruption that's been caused as a result of these tariffs is a challenge. And we don't have the same flexibility that many people do in the economy just to adjust and change our prices without impacting the healthcare system in a negative way. So clarity here and an exemption for medical technology products in the short term, I think, is critical to making sure there's patient access and making sure costs remain stable in the healthcare system.
The hearing concluded with Senators Crapo and Wyden making their closing remarks.
My take is that the Trump tariff policies are delivering a double whammy that is hammering the American people. Let me just give you my sense of how I reached that judgment. The Trump tariffs are not just unhelpful. They are actually threatening critical supply chains, and they're doing it by driving up costs, by closing out export markets, and making it impossible to essentially invest and plan for the future. And that harms the creation of jobs, and it harms innovation.
There's really not a lot of disagreement on the notion that we need to get a targeted tariff regime and we need to end non-tariff trade barriers. The playing field is not balanced. The United States is discriminated against in many different ways by many different countries. And the effort that President Trump is undertaking right now is aimed at balancing that field. But like I say, we all understand that the objective here is to eliminate non-tariff trade barriers, to balance the trade field, and let us have actual fair trade globally.